Ask the Mayor. Your chance to ask the Mayor of Weymouth questions about the town and or anything else that you have concerns about. Ask the Mayor is pre-recorded. And now, Ask the Mayor with Bob Hedlund.
Welcome back to arguably the most action-packed Ask the Mayor in the 100-plus episodes that we've shot so far. Robert, summer is here. It's 2023. How you feeling today, my friend?
Very nice, very good, Jim.
Oh, we did not have a prop.
Good one.
Hold that up, everybody.
Thank
This
you.
is the Red Sox season is in
Thank
full
you, Jeff.
boom.
Is that okay? Or does that obscure us?
I can already tell you that illustration is from Larry Johnson in the back. Is that an accurate statistic? Does anybody know?
Probably.
I know his work.
Red Sox, 14 games out, last place. As of this taping, prediction, when this airs, Red Sox, 18 games out of first place. How's that?
I thought you were going to say officially eliminated. It's time to call Hedlund off the bench. Hedlund and John Fish, the Hingham High School starting lineup from 1980.
No,
I thought it was a pitch. You got the pitches.
he's older than me, and he went to Thayer, man. Come on.
Sorry about that. Hey, now, what's the significance of our prop here as you displayed that?
He just found it right now.
Oh, I thought there might be a
Baseball season, let's go.
Could be a Weymouth connection. All right, Robert. Whew. If they knew the behind the scenes, we're going to do a behind this music episode on this one alone. All right, Robert. Pleasant Street at Libby Parkway from David Johnson. Hello, Mayor Bob. I was wondering if you could give me an update on when the traffic lights will be installed and the final repaving completed at Libby Industrial Parkway in Pleasant Street. Thank you, David Johnson. I drove by there on my way here today, Bob. What's going on?
Given the history of this project, I will not offer any predictions on timing.
It looks like it's moving pretty fast, like all that pavement.
Oh, yeah, it's
area
gone.
right
It's
by.
flying.
Oh, no, what the hell do I know? It's moving super slow, and like most people can say.
10 years later.
Hey now.
Definitive last word on this, because by the time this airs, I think it'll be completed and we don't have to answer questions about it anymore. But a long time ago, long before I was mayor, I think it was part of the mitigation for the final development that occurred up there on Arbor Hill. Bristol acquired the, I believe, this is generally, I don't want this one to be too concise on the history of this, but Bristol acquired the last development project up there, I think from a previous developer, and I think he inherited the mitigation in putting the lights in. He's also, as you know, acquired all of the land between Derby Street in Hingham and Pleasant Street in Weymouth, which at some point that street will run parallel to the highway.
Oh, no kidding.
Where that intersection is now,
Sure.
that will become a full-blown four-way intersection, and that road will eventually get you to Derby Street. So it should take some traffic off of the back streets like Pine and Ralph Talbot.
That's a good thing.
And of course, that unlocks tremendous amount of development for him. It's some ways down the road, obviously. The planning department has insisted on, master plan for that, and there'll probably be some coordination with Hingham rather than any kind of piecemeal development. So that's where that stands. Oh, and the delay obviously was a stalled project on the hill. Once Bristol got to that point, I believe, we were held up, they were held up, because they are actually running the job and paying for it. The utilities, specifically Verizon, was extremely slow in relocating their poles and utilities for that intersection, to accommodate that intersection. The lights are installed, they just haven't been activated, and I think the base coat's on, so they're real close. And again, I'm gonna look foolish if this doesn't happen, but I believe by the time this airs, that whole thing will be completed. And if it's not completed, I'm going to have Jeff hold up the release date.
Or edit, chop. Bobby, I know in conversation in the past with Jimmy, I think they bought over 100 separate parcels of land to create the Weatherman development. Is that similar to what he's been doing with this latest?
I think the street on the Hingham side that runs parallel to the highway I know they were buying up homes individually there through the years.
Oh, no kidding, huh?
So I think it was a long process, but
Playing the long game.
I think they've got everything that's between Route 53 and the highway that runs from Pleasant all the way to Derby.
Son of a gun. Bob, quick little sidebar, because on my travels here, I went through Columbian Square. Are we happy so far? That seems to be up to a gangbuster start. That's been going on for about a month now. The
Contractors have
Columbian
been decent, I think, in traffic mitigation while they do what they need to do.
Okay.
They're going to be able to do this without significant road closures. Obviously, there's some disruptions.
Yeah.
I go through there, and I had to go through there during the day. It hasn't been too bad at the times that I've traveled it. Nothing out of, well, not too bad, not worse than it normally
Yeah,
is.
relatively speaking, no, I think they've shut it down to single lane center, but I think they managed it pretty well. You're happy with it so far, so good?
So far, so good. I mean, there's been a lot of good communication. We put the updates up every Sunday night, what's happening for that week, so people can plan that might live in that neighborhood, and we've gotten good feedback on the level of communication so far.
Excellent. So far, so good. Quick little sidebar, which you I know you abhor. I parked because there was only like 3 or 4 parking spots sometimes in front of the retail business in Montello instead of this convenience store. I parked in the crosswalk because there was only 1 or 2 inadvertently, and the woman was very kind. The Weymouth police officer who was on the job came over and said, "You need to move your truck." I said, "Jesus, only a couple of spots." She said, "You're still in the crosswalk. No special consideration for the host of Ask the Mayor," which I thought I had a little status in this town, for heaven's sakes.
Probably doesn't watch it and didn't recognize it.
All right, listen, Robert, this one's a little long, so hang in with me. Don't let our future blow, save our H2O. It's a headline from Giuseppe
Don't what?
G. Don't let our future blow, save our H2O. I believe on the periodic table of elements, that is H being hydrogen, O being oxygen. As a lifelong resident of the sovereign state of North Weymouth, the recent uproar of water usage has piqued my interest. I've watched several of the recent meetings on this topic and feel the discussions have only muddied the water. This just boils down to easy math. In the 2021 water report, the average annual daily volume of raw water was 4.61 mgd, which I hope you can explain, which is below the allowable water draw of 5.0 mgd. After doing some math, I acquired in our fine public schools, we are 0.39 under our limit. What I don't know is what the numbers are going to be once the approved projects in town come online. I'm sure you and your team know the answer to this, but why doesn't the town publish this data on a quarterly basis? This data is readily available. Why not make it available for all of us to see? Thank you. Or grazie from Giuseppe, I would imagine he would say in Italy.
And he's written before, and you confirmed that it's an actual person, right? That's like a real name? Do you know any Giuseppes in Weymouth?
I can't say that I personally do. However,
I've only, what? Oh, he has? Okay, all right.
This is from a friend of ours named Giuseppe Gentilucci. I don't know if you're familiar with Giuseppe. Well, he's
Right.
very
Yeah.
informed. What's MGD stand for, before we get started? Can you comment on that? 4.61 mgd, which is, G must be gallons, right?
Daily use.
Or it's something along the lines of, so the town gets an allocation. Is that essentially how it works with your water provider?
We, not to get into background that most people that are watching the show probably know, but you don't, is we have a permit that dictates what our allowable draw is based on our water supplies.
Okay.
So that's what that number signifies.
That 5.0.
It's a daily number.
Okay.
Well, no, that's, what we're allowed.
Okay.
That number is changing because we're in the process of getting our latest permit.
So that would be taken higher because of all the construction?
I don't want to get into this
Right,
about
okay.
raw water versus finished water and all this other stuff. If you're a regular watcher of WETC, you've watched this. But yes, the waters have been muddied a bit with a lot of misinformation that's out there on this particular topic. But to answer the specific part of his question about the data being available, I know there was some talk at one of the water meetings when Luongo, our planning department director, explained, what we do when we look at a project and what the impact is going to be, and possibly about putting something on the website. Whether they're doing it or not, I don't know right now. But it's easy for you to make a determination if you want to follow this issue closely under our Title V guidelines from DEP on water usage. The way they calculate usage would be on a per bedroom basis. So they look at, when they do a calculation about how many bedrooms, they assign, I think, 110 gallons a day The actual use in Weymouth per bedroom is averaging about 65 though.
About half.
So you could look at that and say, well, in the eyes of DEP, a 10-bedroom place is going to be
X.
times 110 a day based on our permit, but the actual withdrawal is probably closer to 65 right now in terms of what they're averaging. And of course, the new construction stuff is very efficient. So anyway, that answers his question. And I don't know the part about if it's being published, but when you look at a new development that's approved, obviously you know how many bedrooms, and you can do that extrapolation and come up with a number.
It'd be kind of an obscure statistic. I mean, I wonder how many people are actually looking for this info.
Well, the water in town has been a hot issue because, you know, we had a group out there that wanted a building moratorium, and they said it was because of their concerns about water.
Right.
And we've had multiple public hearings on, probably 6 meetings about the moratorium on building. We've got now the MWRA application process unfolding, where we've had a huge public information session on that. There'll be a public hearing that the council will have on that. There'll be updates. I think they're planning updates on a monthly basis to the council on the MWRA process. So a lot of information out there on it. And it sounds like he's paying attention.
But for those with concerns,
And you're
it
not.
sounds like the number is flexible and it goes up and down depending upon, again, the number of bedrooms.
Well,
So
a
it's
permit,
not
our
finite.
permit withdrawal number is not flexible. But next question.
Okay, here we go. By the way, we're only as good as the questions that come in, as everybody knows who watches this show, so please keep those questions coming to askmayorbob@gmail.com. Askmayorbob@gmail.com. We really appreciate all the questions that come our way. Robert, Julia Road Field upgrades. Hello, Mayor Bob and Jim. It's all too beautiful melody. That's what I say when I look in the mirror. I abut Julia Road and have seen many incarnations of the field since living here. The field was a mess about 5 to 7 years ago, but there have been many improvements, including irrigation, grass mowing, lineage on the baseball field, and a beautiful new sign. However, there are still things to do to make it a more welcoming park. Street sweep and reline the parking lot, replace the trash barrels, add some new trees, brushes, and flowers. The playground should get some attention. The fence is in disrepair, and the swing sets could use a once-over. I know this is quite a list, but maybe stretched over a few seasons, it might be able to get accomplished. There may be some constraints. If so, I would understand. Thank you for reading and reacting to my email. Our good friend, Mr. Ed Harder. Thank you, Ed, for being on the job down there.
Our number one questioner.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And this week, he is a shadow DPW and Recreation Department Director.
Okay, now. You're touching all the bases, Bobby. I mean, Ed, Robert, there's definitely been a lot of improvement down there, and anybody who's been around the block would acknowledge that. Do you see potential for more things to be
Over 40 years of men's softball and youth baseball prior to that.
Yeah.
That's probably the only field in Weymouth I never played on.
Are you kidding? I thought that was the main field for a while.
Well, I'm not even sure who has permits for that. I know some of there's a youth club baseball team out of Norwell that uses that as their home base.
It's a great field.
And I'm not sure what other leagues are using that, but I know they had problems years ago, long before I became mayor, due to mosquito infiltration down there and concerns about EEE, and I think they let that thing kind of lay fallow for a while, I think. But anyway, it looks pretty good when I look down from the hill at Great Eska when I'm taking a walk. But we will duly note Ed's suggestions on improvements, and we like people to stay on top of us about our parks because we haven't really provided any attention to our parks here in town over the last 7 years, and I know they need a lot of work.
If this one does it, maybe the
And
last one.
he always makes reference to music.
I'm not sure.
It's all too beautiful melody. Everything is beautiful.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, dude. Everything is beautiful.
That's the only one I can think of. Or is there a song called "It's All Too Beautiful"? That was like a late '60s.
Come on, you youngsters.
Like a British invasion? Huh?
Robert, obviously that's the home of Ray Rec, and it seems like, anybody...
So it's not "Everything is Beautiful." It's "All Too Beautiful." It's all
Separate song.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it had. I was close. I was
Our
close.
music trivia man.
What year? What year? What year? All right, go ahead. Next question.
Wait a minute.
We gotta
We're skipping over to our neighbors to the north, or is it west, regarding Braintree development from Marge West. Hello, Mayor Bob. You have mentioned your concerns about traffic on West Street resulting from
Marge
Braintree.
West writing about West Street?
Well, hey now, you have mentioned your concerns about traffic on West Street resulting from the Braintree development of the former lottery site. Not that a movie studio is committed to being there. Oh, it says not that a movie studio is committed to being there. This is a valid concern, or is that saying now that? A movie studio is supposed to be coming into that spot? Wow. All right, can the town of Weymouth prohibit commercial traffic on West Street? This still leaves the option of getting off the highway at the Braintree Rotary and traveling through Braintree to get to the development. Braintree will be reaping all the tax revenue from the new businesses. Let them deal with the traffic as well, says Marge West. About West Street, what do you think?
Love to do that. Would love to do that.
Marge! But you'd love to, but you can't.
It's something the town had looked into previously, and she's right. I mean, you've got that industrial park down there. I mean, part of the problem is Fennell is in Weymouth, but then you go past that. I don't even know what the industrial park is, where Frito-Lay is, and the U.S. Mail has a facility down there by Turtle Crossing.
Yeah, where all the condos are.
Turtle Crossing condos, which, by the way, was the poster child for Chapter 40B, our state's affordable housing law scam. And Braintree got built out of $2 or $3 million on that project, where the developer hid excess profits on that. And
That's not
got
affordable housing
got
down
caught
there.
by great Inspector General
Wow.
Greg Sullivan.
Good for him.
But despite all the waste and fraud in that, we weren't able to get any reforms done to Chapter 40B. Thank you, Boston Globe, progressives who think it's a wonderful law that has no problems when there was a ton of problems. But anyway, I digress. We would love to do that. I know the town looked into it. It's very frustrating. There was not too long ago, we actually asked Braintree for some cooperation when we were rebuilding the Randolph Street Dam at Great Pond. And, you know, initially we didn't get cooperation from Braintree, unfortunately.
Surprising.
Because we needed to reroute trucks for a little while that construction was going, I think 90 days. You know, but I did remind the mayor that, you know, we've got this problem on West Street where it handles mostly heavy truck traffic from them, mostly, not all. And also, and we do know, Marge, that we forced Braintree and the developer to do a traffic study, so we do know that they will be adding traffic to Weymouth streets with that development. Now, the movie studio will be less intrusive, we think, than what was previously planned for that site. So those numbers are probably going to be lower in terms of the traffic, but nonetheless, yes, we get the impacts, they get the tax revenue. Excuse me. One thing that makes this even more frustrating is somehow the town of Weymouth got snookered years ago by Braintree when Braintree was able to effect a truck ban on Commercial Street to Union Street exit on Route 3. So tankers coming from Citgo and Clean Harbors that are traveling south are supposed to get on at Route 18 and not at Union Street.
Son of a gun.
And some adhere to that and some don't. I don't know how that's been enforced through the years, but when you see some tankers go up Commercial Street in Braintree, they're heading north, generally. If you see them go through the landing and rip up our streets, they're going south. And that is something we would love to revisit, but it's extremely difficult. The state has a big say in this, and that was, I think, where Weymouth ran into the problem with the truck traffic ban on West Street years ago. So that's the answer.
So,
Next question.
yeah,
We're limited
not a
on
ton
time.
that you can do, obviously. All you can do is really ask, huh?
Well, we have to ask in an effective manner, but
Wow. All right, Robert, sewer issues from Paula Mine. Hi, Mr. Mayor. Over the incredibly mild winter, East Street suffered a catastrophic sewer failure. You're nodding your head. Sounds like you know what's going on. Requiring emergency piping to keep the you-know-what from hitting the fan. Sounds like you know what that is, too. Thankfully, there was no snow or frost to impede the weeks-long repairs that were needed, but it does show that the town's vital infrastructure, like sewer lines, are aging, and even with mild weather, critical breakdowns are going to happen. Is there, and in parentheses, and there should be, a plan to start replacing, or at least, at the very least, evaluating the health of these pipes, especially their age and ever-increasing flows. In other words, a colonoscopy for our sewer lines. Thanks, Paula, sometimes from East Street and sometimes
Paula
from
is an astute-
Volusia, wherever Volusia is.
Paula is an astute follower of all things state, local, and federal within all civic affairs and within our government.
Paula mine, is Paula yours?
She has a great job on the North Weymouth Cemetery, by the way.
Lovely.
And I think
Thank you, Paula.
I think maybe she's been influenced by gossip and chatter on social media on this, judging the
That's part of what we're here for.
Let me answer this, judging from the tone of her question. Yes, the town has a plan. Yes, for a long time, the town does routine inspections. We send cameras underground to look at pipes.
Like a colonoscopy.
They do other tests. And right now, the bulk of capital spending in the town of Weymouth is going towards water and sewer infrastructure upgrades. For instance,
Here.
I don't even know what the specific, I'm blanking out on the specific name of the project, but the sewer upgrade from the main in Idlewell out to Commercial Street is a huge project. That has been funded. That's underway. We've got repairs and replacement going on in a whole bunch of places. Down in her neighborhood, actually, we are bypassing right now the pump station that's down on East Street. And by the way, our infrastructure isn't any worse or better than communities around us. I mean, we're an old community with a lot of pipes. Right. And a good example of that would be the upgrades we're doing to the pumping station down on Wharf Street, which when that was designed, it was designed to handle some crazy number like 380 homes when it was designed and built. Yeah. And obviously there's been growth in the town for decades since then and put more strain on that. So that's why you see the bypass right now going through Great Esker. But huge amount of work, and I can't even tick it all off because it's voluminous, but I mean, we're doing our water meter replacement program, we're doing the water audit stuff now. We've got to measure in to do some things regarding private wells. We're doing this huge amount of sewer work. We provided some assistance to Union Point for the pump station upgrade over there, which was the cause of a huge amount of water infiltration getting into our sewer system. That's going to cut down on the number of gallons going into the system on a daily basis. So a huge amount of work. I had the number the other day. I wish I knew this question was coming and I would have refreshed my memory. But I mean, we're talking in the tens of millions of dollars in upgrades right now, ongoing as we speak.
So this is no surprise, her observation.
And let me say, so we also, and the way we fund those is you have our capital revolving fund within the water department, which comes from fees and other sources, but also out of our general capital spending plan, we're supplementing that by a huge number. For instance, like that big ticket job for the sewer upgrade that's going to run from Idlewell out to Commercial Street.
So most certainly top of mind, obviously, and obviously a high priority on the budget list and on your agenda of things to get done.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of work going on.
Yeah.
On that.
Thank you, Paula. Listen, we're getting to the end, if you can believe it, of another action-packed, exciting Ask the Mayor, and we want to remind everybody, as always, to keep the questions coming to askmayorbob@gmail.com. All right, Robert, this may be the last one of our show, blinking crosswalk lights from, once again, our good friend Ed Hartnett. It looks like an editing assist from Mary
We should
arguably.
we should get him in and just let him do a whole show with him.
What are you trying to say?
Well, he can ask you. He can sit there, ask you, and you can ask me.
Ed, you're more than welcome. I concede the chair to our friend, Mr. Hartnett. Hello, Mayor Bob, and there is a light that never goes out, Melody.
What is it?
There is a light that never goes out. I'm not sure what he's referring to, but I hope I'm glowing in his opinion. Robert, very quickly, my concern continues to be the lack of crosswalk lighting at the new Chapman Middle School. Currently, there is no signage. Currently, there is signage only in front of Chapman. There is no, in caps, no flashing lights. Just a short distance down the field, down the street at Legion Field, there are 2 access points to the field that have buttons for walkers to push. That starts yellow pedestrians lights to start flashing. Will there ever be these type of lights in front of Chapman? I think the lights should actually flash red, not yellow, to signal the importance of stopping when they are flashing. I've tried to cross at Chapman a few times, and it has required me to step closer into the street to get drivers to stop, or worse, honk at me. Ed, hold. Hey now, jump off that street then, buddy. Get back on the curb. Thank you, Ed Hartnett. Robert, are you trying to get Ed run over is really the question he's asking.
I have seen on 2 occasions somebody almost get run over and killed.
At this spot?
In front of Shaw's.
Shaw's.
Where there is a flashing crosswalk light. And for some reason, people don't observe these. So his idea about making them flash red might be something to that, but it's not something we would.
Eddie!
But it's not. I don't think it's something we can program in. These things are set up as yellow flashing lights.
Okay.
And people, I don't think, have been adjusted to them.
Yellow means hit the gas, right? If I see one. Apparently, in this
It's
town.
probably, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Probably what they think.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's planned for there. I know they got the temporary board out there reminding people that it's a school zone and that they can't be doing an inordinately high amount of speed, i.e. over 20 miles an hour in a school zone. So no idea. Once a couple of these went up, everyone wants one in their neighborhood.
I think they're effective.
Well, I just talked about how they're not effective sometimes.
No, well, but I mean, as a driver driving down the road, when I see one of them flashing, it gets my attention.
And he's right, we have 2 in the vicinity of Legion Field, which I thought was overkill, but it's not like I control every single thing that happens, nor am I made aware sometimes of every single thing that happens. The second one went up, and I know there was a lot of pressure from the neighborhood for that, but I thought it was, in proximity to the other one, and that we're probably better spots around town. These that you see going up have all been funded by grants that have come through. Excellent. And the traffic engineer upstairs has a formula that he looks at that determines where the most optimum place to use those things that are funded by the grant. So I don't know what's planned for Chapman, but I think that there's a plethora of these things out there now.
Would you say I have a plethora of piñatas?
A what?
A plethora.
Oh, yes.
Do you see more grant money coming down the pike for?
That's an ongoing thing because we qualify under the Complete Streets program, and that's the way the money gets funded to us in terms of the grant through Complete Streets. Yes.
Excellent. Well, it looks like we're wrapping up this episode of Ask the Mayor. Once again, please keep the questions coming in to askmayorbob@gmail.com. I want to say thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And, of course, Bob, I'm going to tell everybody to stay tuned to The Ghost and Mrs. Muir.
Did we figure out the light that never goes out? The Smiths?
Oh!
Wow, Ed's
going,
covering the decades.
Moving forward.
I wonder if he Googles that to come up with these, or if his knowledge is really that deep.
I think my aura inspires him.
Let's get him in here for a music trivia contest.
I'm afraid if he says the light that never goes out, he's going to put me on fire. Hey, have a great early summer.
If you have a question, please email the mayor at askmayorbob@gmail.com. That's askmayorbob@gmail.com. Maybe your question will be answered on the next episode of Ask the Mayor.